Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. I love chatting with people, so great opportunity for me to speak to some of the grads at grad jobs.
Absolute pleasure. And thanks for taking the time. I know you're super busy, especially on Tuesdays to Thursdays. So thank you.
I've been in marketing all my life. I started my career from Thailand some years ago, and then I moved to India. In Thailand, I did a management training program where I was rotated amongst different fields, and that's where I first got into marketing, and marketing really kind of stuck onto me from there on. And I really enjoyed it, even though I did not have formal education in it at that time. I got into the job, learned a few tricks, and really enjoyed it. Continued through my career in India, and then COVID hit, so I was a little bit down and out. So I thought, let me just get my formal degree in marketing as well, because I found my place, right? So I came to Australia, did the degree in marketing at University of Melbourne. And now, after a long wait and many rejections, I've again got into the marketing space. I work for this company called Pepperstone. They are into the financial services brokerage industry. So we are brokers in CFDs and other assets like commodities, ETFs, shares, etc. It's kind of a derivative trading platform. So I'm not a finance guy, but I do help them with their branding and sponsorships. That's my current role. And that really fits very well with my ambitions as well, because I mentioned I've been in marketing all my life. And branding, to be an owner of a brand and to see how it shapes up, it's definitely something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm very happy that I'm here.
What are the goals of the job?
Sure. So the goal of the job is like for any brand manager would be to make your brand visible and make it to be visible as the best brand in the market. That's an oversimplification of it. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to get that done, and that's where the KPIs come. So brand awareness, brand recall. If I'm talking about social media, then a lot of click-through rates, your conversions, etc. They all count for it. My job as a brand manager and sponsorships coordinator, it's to, number one, make sure that my online organic presence of the brand is very strong. Make sure that we are keeping relevant with the competitors. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but it is a global role. So we do benchmarking against our competitors across the globe. So tailoring our messaging as per that region, positioning them against the competitors, say in the Middle East, is something that I do as part of my job. It's challenging. I get to work in languages and regions I've never really dealt with before. So that's part of the challenge, and I love it. And yeah, so that's the branding side of it, and sponsorships do a similar thing. So we kind of leverage other. We primarily deal with sports sponsorships, so we kind of leverage elite athletes, elite teams in different sports, and piggy bank their brand and kind of leverage ours against them, so that we are reaching out to a much wider audience. So yes, if I have to kind of summarize my goals and KPIs, just to make my brand more visible, more help people choose our brand over our competitors. Like I said, it's a oversimplification. There's a lot that goes behind it, but yeah, in a summary, this is what I do.
Got it. Very clear. And what does a typical day look like, or a typical week? And I know you've just started the role recently, so it was probably going to change, but just to give people an idea.
Sure. That's a great question. I say great because it's very different from my previous roles that I've had in the past. And I would assume this is to do with the company culture. So I'm very fortunate. The company culture is fantastic. I'm talking to you at a 9 a.m. In the morning. I can plan my day accordingly. I'm still at home. I don't need to go to office. So we have this incredible flexibility just to get a work done in the most efficient and the most comfortable manner as possible. So yeah, my typical day would be like getting up around 7, getting some exercise done, getting ready for the day, packing my lunch, going to office, reach around 9:15ish, 9:30ish. Check my calendar for meetings and calls that I have scheduled for the day, and then yeah, get start working. Just catching up with some of my desk mates who sit around me in that cohort, saying hi to everybody, catching up for coffees, then coming back for work, getting shit done, and then towards the end of it. So I didn't mention that this is a global role. A lot of my calls happen actually in the second half of the day. So plan my second half of the day accordingly. Sometimes when say around 4 or 5 in the evening, I'm pretty much done with the office part of it. I just come back home and take some meetings from home around 6:37ish, and that's usually when I kind of get done with all of my work, and I just switch off and get ready for the next day.
Got it. And when you say getting stuff done or getting shit done, what specifically does that look like? What the reason I'm asking is because people pursue these masters in marketing or bachelors in marketing. They go into the field and they're wondering, like, which part of my degree is going to be useful?
That's a very good question, and I might have a very controversial and politically incorrect answer to that. See, I have done 3 degrees in my life. One in business, which was my undergrad degree, one in public policy, which was my first master's, and this is my second master's. All experience have enriched me greatly in tremendous ways. But if I can be very honest with you, it's always been the skills that I've learned outside of academics that's really, really helped me do my job well. And this includes stakeholder management, people skills. Those are the number one most important things anybody can do at their job, no matter what their role is. At the end of the day, we work with humans. Even if there's a chatter about AI taking over jobs, it's not happening anytime soon, even in the marketing field. I can go on about that if we get there. But coming back to that conversation, we still deal with humans. We need to learn how to speak with humans, how to treat each other. So stakeholder management is extremely, extremely important. But having said this, if a marketing grad who's listening to this podcast, they want to know what kind of academic skills that are useful, I think it's all up to you. Nobody is going to ask you for the quarters 5 forces model as part of your interview or as part of your job, but the application of that particular theory is in your hand. And I think I have done that to quite an extent. For example, this just happens that I'm doing competitor analysis and I'm mapping my competitors on a perceptual map. So if people who have done marketing, they would understand what a perceptual map is like. I had no reason to do that, but I remembered that fits really well. And I find those niches that where I can leverage my learned skills in university and apply them at my job. So that definitely gives you an advantage. But truth being told, you can get away with it if you're good at your people skills. But if you talk about more technical roles, for example, social media management, you do kind of need to learn about the KPIs, click-through rates, cost per clicks, all these terminologies that you use in social media. That comes in very handy. Any tools and softwares and platforms that you can brush up against. For example, any social media management tool, we use Sprout Social, Brand Watch, etc. For example, this is not a promotion, but we kind of deal with these platforms. For SEO, we have other platforms. So if you can kind of get your skills in these areas, if you're in social media management, that would be very, very handy. But like I said, your university experience, you kind of leverage it and make it the most of how you want it to be. But you cannot go past people skills and people management. Stakeholder management is something every single job, regardless of marketing or any other field it might be, that's my opinion, will always come in handy. So yeah, I think that's been my experience so far.
Fantastic. From what I'm gathering here, it seems like the actual stuff you're doing in the job is more about having great communication skills, problem solving, and just kind of getting, like you said, getting stuff done, like whatever needs to get done within that team, basically. So it's not like you need to learn a specific model or a specific set of technical skills. It's more just those foundational skills that you're using to problem solve. Is that what am I correct?
Yes, you're correct about it. But having said this, like I mentioned, that some jobs require those technical skills and knowledge as well. They will get you past the interviews. So if it's required in your field, definitely it's worth investing in it. But I'm just telling you the reality of when you start doing your job, that's not going to be a primary parameter. You're still dealing with humans, and your application of those technical skills and knowledge will give you that leverage and push in your career, because it's very competitive even when you get inside of a career. So those skills are going to give you a push 100%. I'm not disagreeing to that, but on a day-to-day basis, to get shit done, you need to know how to get shit done with people you work with. That's very, very important. And that's where communications, problem solving, collaboration, all these soft skills, they shine really, really well.
And you have very strong communication skills. How do you think students who maybe don't have those yet can go ahead and acquire those? Is it just a matter of jumping in and getting some work experience? Any other tips?
um, I have been a very underconfident kid all my life, and I think I've faked it till I make it. Like, it's fake it till you make it kind of a situation for me. Um, and that's what I tell everybody who is kind of introverted, shy, in a cocoon themselves. I was there once, to an extent. In certain situations, I'm still there. I'm trying to get out of it. But yes, throwing yourself in the deep end, learning how to swim on your own is the best way to do it. It's very confronting. It's very, it can be very daunting. You don't know how to swim through the deep end. You feel like you're drowning, but as long as you keep your hands flapping, feet moving, you'll eventually make out to the surface, and you learn how to swim from there. It's a journey. It's not like, oh, I'll just put myself in a very difficult conversation in a very social setting and I'll come out of it being the star of the show. That's likely not going to happen. It may happen. I'm not saying no to that. But usually the trajectory is, if you want to develop good communication skills, just put yourself in those situations where you think you shouldn't be. And I'm not saying get in trouble, but I'm just saying put yourself in situations where you would be confronting your fears of communicating with people in large settings and in public settings. I just addressed a cohort of 1,000 plus students and their families last week. I was invited by the university to speak at my graduation ceremony. That was an incredible experience. That's the largest gathering I've ever addressed. And I was absolutely shitting bricks, if I'm being very honest, until I got on the stage at the lectern, and then it just flew like from there on. And looking back, I'm so glad I did that experience. One, it's an incredible honor, as it would be for anybody else. And two, it was just a challenge to myself. I'm like, I pride myself on my communication skills, but I cannot deliver in a formal setting, in a very, very prestigious institution, in front of incredible students who probably have been much better at academics than I have. And I had no clue why was I selected. And in fact, that's my speech about why me. So I gave that speech, and it was so weird because when I was writing the speech, it came to me that I have always put myself in these difficult situations on purpose, just for me to get out of them. I just kept doing what needed to be done, and eventually it's led me to places that I've always wanted to be at. And having said that, it's not that I've achieved everything. There's a lot more to be done. But taking those steps, the first steps and then second steps and the third steps, it's incredibly important. Even if you don't know where you're headed, it's still important to take those steps and just trust that you will be led to the places you want to be at.
What a great answer, and congrats on being selected. That is an honor.
It's an incredible.
I bet. Is it recorded somewhere?
I just posted on my LinkedIn as well, so I've put that snippet on my profile. It is recorded, so I think you can check it out from there on.
I'm sure it will come across my feed soon.
Yeah. It just today morning, very late at night, in fact, so it should come up your feed as well.
Fantastic. And with your current role, why do you think they picked you?
Oh, that's the philosophical answer to that is I don't know. Maybe it's destiny, but no, I don't think that's the real answer. I think this is where being smart really helped. Smart, not academically, but picking areas and fields in which I knew I could deliver. And I've had a few coffee chats with other recent grads as well, and this is what I'm trying to tell them. And I think in some of your posts, even you have addressed this, that when recruiters go through your profile, they look at your profile for the overall hygiene and if you're a good fit on the basic parameters, but also do you have very specific experiences that they're looking for? Because you have to understand that recruiters, they have a laundry list of criteria that they're given to them by the managers, that hey, we are going to judge your candidate basis if they can deliver on these fronts, and they should possibly have these experience. If not, then they should be this criteria. So I think there are multiple layers. this is my experience. I'm not sure if this is true, but I think this is what I've understood from applying for these roles and getting through these interviews, is that they have this laundry list. And in my situation, why I think they selected me was because I had internships in the same area and the same field. So I have basically interned with a competitor in Australia. Uh, Poaching is it's very common, and I think it's something that a lot of the graduates don't leverage enough. In fact, one of my friends, he has been working part-time for a hospitality company for over 2 years, and he has not been able to get through interviews as much as I have. He does not come from very rich experience, but I'm like, hey, you did a marketing degree from University of Melbourne. You have this incredible 2 years of hospitality management experience. If you marry them, that's event marketing. And with, especially in the summer in Australia, there's tons and tons of events, and there's so much opportunities there that you can possibly leverage your experience. He never thought of it that way. He's like, I've just worked in hospitality. I don't know. I don't want to work in hospitality all my life. I want to go to marketing. I'm like, if you just marry them, that's event marketing, and you get events which you have experience in, and you have marketing which you have a degree in. And then, having said that, he's not still yet cracked the job, but he at least started getting those interviews, and that's really giving him that push and confidence that's required for, applying. So I think you need to be very smart. You kind of need to leverage your experiences and have to marry them with the job description that you're applying to. In my case, that happened very easily because I had interned with a competitor. Um, in many cases, that comparison might not be very, very easy to find. Sometimes, if, for example, if you're working in agency, there are tons and tons of agencies which specialize in so many other things. Uh, there's a PR agency, there's an events agency, there's a social media agency. So you might feel that I have PR experience, but not really events experience. Can I still apply for it? Maybe you can. It's still part of that broader marketing domain, and you're forgetting that this is an agency setup. And like I said, it's about people skills and people management. They need to see if you can work in that environment for them as well. So leverage your experiences and tailor them and marry them to the exact job description. Give them what they want to listen to, what they want to hear. So if you have business development experience, for example, or you've worked at a restaurant, your stakeholders are your customers, and you're applying for this business development role, and you're kind of still representing the restaurant you're working at. You're still kind of selling to them. If you can combine your experiences and speak of that in the interviews or on your CV, I think you'd get more positives than negatives in terms of outcomes. So I think that's a very, very good way to look at how you approach and leverage your experiences for the job you're applying to.
100%. Yeah, a lot of people make that mistake. They kind of enter this new area,
yeah,
and disregard everything that they've done, when if they just leveraged what they've currently got, they could actually become a pretty unique and valuable candidate for
100%.
a certain field. And that seems like what happened with you. I know your background. You've got some beautiful experience.
Yes.
But then you also got this experience at the competitor, and that made you a very unique candidate. I mean, they probably wouldn't have been able to find someone as good as you for that role, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
possibly. So I did get this job through LinkedIn, and LinkedIn does this one thing. It tells you an approximate count of how many people applied for the same role. It was definitely in the 500s and could have been more. So I think what you just mentioned, the marriage between my experience with competitors and my previous experiences, that really gave me a very unique position to position myself and speak to them about how can I deliver in their organization. But having said that, like I said, it's just step one. There's a lot to be achieved and proven in the job itself. But yeah, I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to come my way, and I suggest everybody that, and I think this is mentioned in the grad jobs modules as well, and you speak about this as well, that if the company D is your dream job and you're starting at company A, you can still skip stones and still reach there. So if you say that, hey, I've worked with this company, I know there's a job with the competitor, but I really don't want to work there. My advice to students, and especially international students, is that get that first breakthrough. It's incredibly important. Making switch switches in your career is very, very common. It's very acceptable, and it's very encouraged as well. You can really rise through the ranks and reach where you want to, but you need to start first. If you just keep rejecting the jobs and yourself by giving this excuse that, hey, I want to work in the ABC company, they're the best consulting firm in the world, but I don't want to work for this company of 5 people who also do the same thing but at a much smaller level, because I don't know, for your own reasons, but I would suggest do it. You never know. I mean, uh, you cannot predict the future, but you have control over what you have in front of you, so just take it. um, that's very important to get your first breakthrough, and then you can really navigate your way up the ladder and reach wherever you need to. But getting that first breakthrough is incredibly important, so just go for that.
100%. I love all this advice, these recommendations you're giving. That spot on. I'm going to go into a very controversial question.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. Unpaid internships, unpaid experience, work experience. Have you done any? And if so, what do you think about it?
I'll start with what I think about it. It should be illegal. Nobody should be doing unpaid internships. My personal opinion. But having said that, they're still great. They're still great because if I say that because I had to do these unpaid internships after coming from 4 years of marketing experience. So I was like, no, come on, I can do better than this. But it was humbling for me. I had to realize that my work experience, although it's incredibly valid, I still need to prove myself in a new country, in a new industry, in a new field, with new people I've never worked with. So unpaid internships are actually an incredible way to do that. I have done an unpaid internship. In fact, most of my experiences in Australia were unpaid. I have never done a part-time paid job in Australia. And many people have told me that, you know what, you're never going to get a job. You've never earned a single cent in Australia. People don't know your worth. But I don't know. I just thought these unpaid internships really did add a lot of value to me. I got, number one, I got the big names as well by doing these unpaid internships. It's crazy that even the big names sometimes don't pay you for internships, but sometimes it is true. Sometimes they do pay you, but in my case, they did not. But it did give me that, the big name, which was put on my CV. So number one, that's what I took from them. Number two, I took their recommendations and referrals. So if you think that, oh, I'm not getting paid for them for my job, but if you do the job well, you'll have cheerleaders in your corner who are going to refer you for the job that you're applying for afterwards. And my referrals for this job that I got were from that unpaid internship, and I could not be more happier and more grateful to them. So if you just look at unpaid internships as an excuse for free labor, it is partially correct and partially incorrect. You're also getting a lot out of it. You're getting skills, you're getting experience, you're getting the names, and you're getting the network that is going to help you not just now, but even maybe 5 years down the line in your career. So having said that, there should not be unpaid internships. I know the struggles that students go through managing those budgets and living the life on a blade. It's just really, really frustrating after the point, because you're juggling your academics, you're juggling your house, you're juggling your daily routine, you're juggling your social life, and then you're doing an unpaid internship. It really seems like a waste of time, but honestly, it's not. I would really want there to be some legislation that at least acknowledges the efforts of unpaid interns in some monetary value. But having said that, I'm not a legislator. I can only rally for it, and this is my part of, and I'm rallying for it. But having said that, still do it. It still counts for something. And like I'd mentioned before in this podcast as well, you need to keep moving forward. And if the way forward is doing an unpaid internship, then so be it. Do it. It will eventually add on to your experiences, and it will eventually reach a threshold after which you will find success.
That was a really good answer and very politically correct. I've been trying to find a way to say the same thing, and I think you said it the best way that I've heard so far. And I think it's actually a secret weapon a lot of very successful people are using, but they don't really talk about. And then people wonder, how'd they get this internship? How'd they get these results? How are they so successful? When you actually look into it, they've done 1, 2, 3. They've done a lot of unpaid things.
Yeah.
But and even with businesses,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how many businesses they start up, they're actually negative in their profits, and they're doing free things. I mean, when I started Grad jobs many years ago, I was just helping people purely for free. I wanted to make sure I could get people results. I wanted to make sure that they were giving good reviews and it worked and people were happy. And once I knew that, then I started charging a little bit. Then I increased. The more the results became very clear and obvious, and then the prices ratcheted up. But I think a lot of people don't understand the value of it. I mean, if I don't know how much your masters cost. I'm assuming like at least 70 or something.
More than that.
More than 70. So if you think about the masters is going to cost you 70, and that's not really going to get you a job. But then you do a month internship, and that's actually going to get you the job. It's kind of like we can't directly attribute values or monetary values to that internship, and it feels very bad and off. But if you kind of do some maths in your head and you calculate, okay, how long is the job search going to take me? Some people are spending 40 hours a week job searching.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're spending 40 hours a week job searching for 6 months and you're not getting anything, why not consider the opportunity of learning and growing? And, it's going to be the same outcome in terms of the monetary. But I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without having done them as well. I was in exactly the same position as you, and I was local. And the way I broke in was just doing it. And I was fortunate to have, money a bit. I mean, I worked part-time, but I also lived at home. So
yeah,
it was easier for me as opposed to a lot of international students. So I agree with everything you said, but I think people should consider it.
No, 100%. Like you mentioned this, even I got my job because of that unpaid internship I did. It's literally a direct correlation over there. And there's one thing that you really beautifully said, that you started your journey with Grad jobs doing unpaid advice and helping people out purely because you wanted to do that. And eventually you realized that you're good at it. And then you thought, hey, maybe a little bit of if I can charge for this service. And look where it's taken you. And incredibly, that's exactly what happened with this unpaid internship at this competitor. So I interned with them for free for 3 months, and they seemingly really liked me. And then they wanted to extend my contract. They're like, do you want to still continue? I know your contract just got over. I'm like, I'd love to continue, but if you just give me a little bit, just as a token of appreciation, and that would be really, really helpful. And they did. They eventually, my internship got converted into a paid contract role. So there you go. I think you need to take these opportunities, and you need to figure out if you're good at it. And if you're good at it, I think the market will respect that and they will value it for sure. And that is, on a lighter note, that just reminds me of Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, where he said that if you're good at something, don't do it for free. But my counter to that is, if you don't do it, you don't know if you're good at it. So first, get to know if you're good at it, build your brand, build value out of it, and then people will respect that and they will come to you and they will possibly offer you some compensation for it, and then you can go on from there on.
It's a hack. It's a massive hack. It's like, okay, you can't get something, let's just do it.
Yeah.
For like a few weeks. Okay, now I can actually say that I can do it, kind of thing. And there are ways to do it as well without formally going into what you would call an unpaid internship. For example, you could ask if you could shadow someone at the company for a day, and then maybe scale it up to 1 or 2 days a week where you're volunteering. Or you could create, and this is I forget who it is, but there's someone on LinkedIn who's a big proponent of doing these little unpaid projects. So for example, if you want to be a marketing coordinator at this agency, you might go, okay, look, these guys actually don't have an optimized funnel. Let's show them what an optimized funnel could look like. Yeah. Maybe build them a mock funnel. It might take me 3 days. Send it to the CEO and say, hey, this is how I think your funnel should look, and I reckon you'd increase your conversions. That's like an unpaid internship, but you're kind of controlling the narrative around that, and that could get you the job. But in the end, personally, I think it comes down to like the value of your time, really. if you can prove the value of your time is X, you're going to get paid.
Oh
And
yeah,
you're,
100%.
yeah,
100%. And like you said, it's a hack. And a lot of students and myself, at one point, I doubted myself. I doubted my abilities. I thought, why would anybody even want me to hire for free? I can't provide them enough value of what's required. But you'd be surprised. People are more receptive than you think they are. Um, and you are more capable than what you think you are. Because you are just comparing yourself with the best version of what you think you will be, but you don't know what the competition is out like. Maybe you're already better than them. Maybe you're almost at par at them. Or maybe you're just in between and you can get there. But the point is, you need to take action and you need to start doing something to know where you stand. Even if that hack that you just said, work for the CEO, shadow them, take a project, build something for them, and just present it to them. Just that opportunity in itself to speak directly with the founder or the CEO of that company is incredible. And if this little gig of yours, this unpaid gig, is getting you that opportunity, it's incredibly valuable, and you cannot value that in monetary sense. Um, one, I did apply for a lot of jobs through cold emailing as well. And I know I'm switching a little bit, but I'm just trying to make a point that I did not doubt myself in that situation. I really went in with this mindset that I can deliver you results. You just need to give me a break, and you just need to give me a chance. And I directly approached many CEOs, ANZ CEOs, people leading the business in this entire APAC region. And to many of my friends, they were like, they're never going to respond to you. Why are you even wasting your time writing to the CEO? That's stupid. But you know what? I got more replies from the CEO than I did from maybe a mid-level manager. I don't know the reason why. It's probably the mid-level managers. They're incredibly busy in their lives. I'm not saying that the top-level executives are not, but I think you'd be surprised how generous people are with their time sometimes. This is not to say that everybody was generous, but those who were, I'm really, really grateful for them. They really did not have to, but they did. And just this one example, I wanted to get into this consulting company. I know I've spoken about my marketing experience, but I've always been inclined towards consulting as well. So I did apply for this particular role that was based for one of the big fours. Um, and then I found the team lead for APAC, and I just wrote to her, and we exchanged wonderful emails, and she was really, really impressed with this initiative that I took, and she was really impressed with my overall profile, and she thought I would be a great addition to her team. And then she referred me to the recruiter who did call me. And but then again, this is where me being an international did not work out, because they had some restrictions on that. But I'm not sobbing about it. I spoke with the leader of that particular business function at one of the big four companies for Asia Pacific region. So that's an incredible confidence boost, if nothing else. And sometimes in your journey, when you'll be rejected more than you'll get positive outcomes, and sometimes these little rejections are actually a blessing, because they really boost your confidence. And I remember my journey, because there was a point after maybe 150 applications where I was not getting enough interviews. And then that's when I reached out to you directly, like, hey, Mackenzie, can I just chat with you? I don't know what's going wrong. And you did exactly what you had to do at that time. You did correct some of the things that could have been improved in my overall profile, such as my LinkedIn, my resume, which is great. But I think the biggest takeaway that I took from our conversation back then was how much confidence you put in me. And I don't know what you saw in me, but you did, and thank you for that. It really, really helps. Sometimes you just need somebody to tell you that you're doing the right job. You just need to be patient, just keep your head down, keep doing what you need to do, and just get shit done. So I'm really, really grateful for all your help throughout this journey.
It's really funny, and no problem. It was a pleasure having that call. And from day one, honestly, I've always seen you the same. I've always seen your amazing potential. Like, I can see it now. You're going to go big places. But
Right.
it is right. It's sometimes, I mean, for sure, when you're being beaten down so much,
Yeah.
when you're being rejected so much, it's really hard to see through. Like, you've got to start kind of developing this bulletproof
Oh,
mindset, this grit. But actually doing that, I feel does take some. You got to get some wins sometime or another to at least kind of fuel that, right? Because if it's constant rejection, it's really hard. So it's very funny. I think there's a lot of people out there who are like that. They've got amazing potential, but they haven't had that little win yet. And I've always seen it in you. Honestly, I can't wait to see where you go. Like in 5 years, 10 years, I think you're going to be easily chief marketing officer somewhere doing great things. I can see it already.
Yes, right. That's a very bold prediction, but I'm really, really honored for you to have that perception about me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I can see it. I can see it. It's very clear. But I know you have to go soon. A couple of minutes. You got a couple minutes?
Yeah, that's all right. I can go on for whatever.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let me just check. I've been getting some text, but yeah, maybe another 5-10 minutes should be all right.
Okay, let's just go into like maybe a kind of a fast finishing round. I think they do that in some podcasts sometimes. Have you seen those when they do questions and quick answers?
Fun.
So let's do that. How long did you job search for?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How long did you job search for before you got this job?
I think I started, so I graduated, so I actually finished my course in June of 24. And then I took a break, and then I started applying casually in July. But honestly, I think my actual job search started from August onwards. So yeah, August until October. So October, almost 3 to 4 months. It took me that long.
How many applications did you send?
Easily more than 250. And that might be a conservative number. This is just what I know from LinkedIn because it just keeps track of all my applications. So LinkedIn was my preferred way of applying for this job. But I did use other portals, Seek, directly on the website, some other up and coming job posting websites such as Hatch, etc. Easily 250, could be anywhere between 250 and 300 even.
And how many interviews did you have?
Including the one that got converted, I had around 9 interviews. So getting those interviews was really important. It just told me that my application and my profile is strong enough to reach that first stage, because that was the biggest hump that I had. Because if you just do the numbers, 9 interviews of 250, it's very, very less. But those 9 interviews, just alone, if you just say that I have done 7 to 9 interviews for these companies, that sounds really good, because getting interviews is hard. And each interview taught me something. Some of the interviews I did really bad. I thought I did well, but it was not exactly what they wanted to know about me. And getting to know what they want to hear is the biggest learning I've got from my entire experience, because like I mentioned before as well, you need to leverage your experiences and give them what they want to hear. This is not lying at all. You're not being deceitful. You're not lying at all. You're just looking at your own experience that you own in a different manner, which they think would be valuable to them. So relooking and rethinking your own experiences has been the biggest learning from my interviews. And I think that's what my advice would be for everybody. Apply for as many jobs. Apply for the jobs that are you're most relevant to, you think. For example, I did this internship, I applied for the competitor. There was a direct correlation. These interviews, and 3 of my interviews were with competitors, for example. So that's a definite hack that I would like to share with everybody. If you have an experience with X company, try applying for their Y competitors. That usually at least gives you an interview, and that's very important. So keep rethinking your experiences and try and leverage it and give them exactly what they want to hear.
Did the networking that you did on LinkedIn lead to any interviews?
Yes, one did. That was and it did not happen immediately. Like I had to build some connection over there as well. So my first interview was actually through a LinkedIn networking thing. So at one of the unpaid, so all my stories would lead back to unpaid internships. So there you go. It's important to get those roles as well. So one of my unpaid internships, and this was with the UN, so we were working in sustainability side. So I wanted to get into sustainability marketing, for example. So there was this company in Sydney who works with the UN organization that I interned with, and I found some mutual connections, and I reached out to that person directly on LinkedIn, like, hey, I work with so-and-so at UNGCNA, and I saw what you guys do. I've had this experience with this person at UNGCNA, and I think my marketing skill set and my inclination towards sustainability can really work in favor, and I think I can contribute to your organization. And she was very receptive because that unpaid internship opportunity with the UNGCNA, first of all, it's the United Nations, so that will open a few doors and open a few conversations for you. But then also, she was just very happy that I did reach out to her. She did not have any opportunity for me at that time, but she's like, hey, just keep following me on LinkedIn. I will be posting out more opportunities, and yeah, I'd love to consider you for one. So that was a very, very big win for me as well. And eventually that opportunity did come. She did post a job and I did apply for it, and she did call me for an interview. And it was a Sydney-based company. And one day when I just happened to be in Sydney, I was like, hey, I am in the city, and would it be okay if we just meet for coffee? And she's like, yeah, why don't you come to the office? And we had a wonderful chat over there. And there she explained to me that after chatting with me, she thought that was a very entry level. That was a very entry level role. So she thought possibly not for this, but we really like you. And once we have the appropriate role for you, we will call you back again. But so yeah, that was one opportunity that was very, very positive. But yeah, then I got this one before that one happened. So and yeah, she's still a very, very good contact that I have, and she still supports my journey, and it's just been a very, very good experience for me.
And how many of the interviews were from applications? That would have been 8 then, right? Or 9?
Yeah, 9. So all of my interviews were through the applications that I had sent through LinkedIn or directly on their website portal.
So applications do work. Just they're a bit of a numbers game, right?
They're a numbers game. So yeah, like there's a hack to this. Like I said, that if I pursued the networking route as well, I did, but I was lucky that my first networking opportunity did lead to an interview, but sometimes it takes much longer. So that is a hack. You can really be smart, and I'm not discouraging that at all. But having said that, applications do work. I am a living example of that.
How did you change your application strategy for it to start working better? Because at the beginning, it wasn't working that well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the first 100, did you say 150 didn't work that well?
Plus did not work. And that's when the call with you happened. And I think, one, I got the motivation I needed. And two, what I think was rethought of my entire candidacy. Like I just evaluated myself that if I'm applying for this role, do I have enough experience there? For example, if I was applying for social media roles and I don't have tangible social media experience, I started upskilling. I invested in Coursera courses, I did Google certifications, and I added to that. I don't know if that helped, but it kept me moving. It kept me pushing me in the right direction. Um, Even if I don't know if that's a direct correlation to why I got this job, it definitely added to my profile. So there was nothing that I lost from that particular investment. Um, and then, yeah, I did upskill myself a little bit. I did rethink of the jobs that I wanted to do. I invested in building my own brand. I started doing LinkedIn differently. I started positioning myself better on LinkedIn. I remember that I created this slideshow about myself, explaining my experiences, where I come from, not just showing. At that time, my thought was that LinkedIn already has all my experiences, but they don't know the person behind those experiences. So I just thought, I'll make this business casual kind of presentation, put it on LinkedIn. Maybe it'll catch somebody's attention. And recruiters do go through your profile, your social media as well. So you never know. I like I said, I kept doing these small little things, and eventually it reached a threshold after which success happened. I think that's my success mantra, and that's what I encourage everybody to do as well.
I love that. That's so similar to me as well. It's like you hit a wall,
Yep.
and you're not sure how to break that wall. So you just do loads of different things and try things and see what sticks.
Yep.
Sounds like you went through that exact same process, and then boom, 9 interviews.
Yep. Exactly. It's a journey. So none of these 9 interviews happen back to back, and obviously when these interviews happen, rejections also come in simultaneously. So in that situation, it's even more important for you to stay focused and keep trying, keep sticking, throwing stuff at the wall just to see what sticks or what doesn't stick. I think that investment was really worth it. There was some money that I invested in those courses. Am I using that particular skill set or certification? Uh, kind of, yes. So it's not a complete waste as well. It definitely did and add to my artillery and my skill set. My personal branding, it gives me more confidence. Just seeing those likes pop up on your post and those comments just telling you that, hey, you're doing a good job. I know we associate a lot of our self-worth through social validation, which is not always ideal, but if you can, it's a hack. If you can hack that, and if you get that social validation and it helps you keep moving, I don't see that as a bad thing as well. Um, I find these hacks that work for myself, which just gives me that bulletproof mindset that you speak about so much in your course as well. That's if there's one thing that would really work for you is that mindset as well, and how you reach that mindset is the hack that I did by keep doing something, experimenting. And I think I'm not the only one. Many people who have been more successful than I have also done something very similar. So yeah, it's worth trying. It's worth trying for sure.
I know you have to go. Final question.
Yep.
What would be your biggest piece of advice to someone who's struggling with the job search, that maybe they want to get into marketing? If you could just tell them one thing.
The philosophical advice is that do not give up, try, keep moving forward. Eventually, you will catch the wind in your sail and you'll reach the shore. But it's important for you to keep rowing the boat to get yourself out of that lull. The wind will come to you, but you need to keep rowing as well. And once you keep rowing, the wind will come and you will sail through it. So keep doing that. And the one practical advice I'll give is that invest in your own brand, understand your self-worth and leverage it and put it on these platforms such as LinkedIn. Networking is incredibly helpful. Like I said, it's probably not going to give you a job immediately. It may, you never know. But it will build a lot of confidence. It will build a lot of network, and it will not go to waste. I can promise that.
Ananya, thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Loved it. Thank you so much.